Wyrick, and I'm the current president of Mesa Verde Community Inc. And first of all, thank all of you. And for the candidates, I'm going to move the podium up here. We just did that so you guys would not be distracted while Mike was playing. This way you can at least see me from that standpoint. So I want to welcome all the candidates, and especially and any of the honored guests that are here. And thank you for running for the Newport-Mesa Unified School District Forum. I think it's my hats off to you. The challenge is there because the campaign is just, in the swing of things, so that each of you have a lot of time and work to put in before that actual election day. So good luck with it. Okay, again, thanks to each of you for your participation tonight. Tonight's meeting will be more of a information gathering type of a meeting. I think that more importantly for each of you, so the community gets an opportunity to see each of you as candidates and to hear what you are bringing to the table with regards to the Newport-Mesa Unified School District. I know that we felt it important to just give you an opportunity to provide the community with your agenda, what your goals are, if elected to the positions. We've done this in the past with City Council, as you very well know, and this is our first Newport-Mesa Unified School District Forum, and we're just honored that we have the turnout that we have. Obviously, we were looking to have a tremendous, larger group, I would say, but there are conflicting schedules tonight, obviously, with the college issue going on. So that being understood, we do have Al-Anon on the far side, so if we need to get more people in, we'll go over and bring those individuals. But I want to, first of all, before we start and introduce the candidates, I'd like to just introduce our board real quick, because it's important enough that a lot of this could not take place without a great group of volunteers. And I've been involved for 12 years with MVCI, and I have to say I'm just always astounded with the amount of energy and effort that goes out from each of the members of our board. And I really want to thank 16, I was just corrected. Have I been here 16? Oh my gosh. Fire me and make it retroactive. All right, well, from that standpoint, I'd just like to introduce our board of directors, and Robin Leffler, our vice president. Robin, Robin. Arlene Jones, our secretary in the back there. Kim Shedler, membership and newsletter. Cindy Brenneman is here, our past president, actually, and our newsletter crew. Is Cindy, did she decide that she's, oh, there she is. And Marty O'Meara, who I owe a great, a lot of gratitude to, I would say, because Marty, it was her idea to make this happen, and Marty did a lot of the legwork. She kept reeling me in, and I said, okay. And finally, it materialized. So Marty O'Meara, our chairperson for education. Marty. And John Manley is here in the front. John will be our timekeeper for this evening, but John is on our beautification committee and a member at large. So John Manley. And again, big round of applause to Mr. Donahue, Michael Donahue, for our music. He will be doing our engineering tonight. And a big thanks also to Barry Freeland from the Costa Mesa Brief, who was actually filming this evening's event. So you'll have an opportunity to see it later, and he will post it. We were also told by the Newport-Mesa School District that we would in fact be able to post it on their site as well. So if there's someone that you know that was not able to make it due to a conflict of schedules, then let them know that that link will be there, and I'll make sure that we get it out to you guys, okay? So the ground rules for this evening, and I'll introduce the candidates after that, is that I'm going to give each candidate a couple minutes to introduce themselves. And from there, what we'll do, we'll go into a round of questions, and each candidate will have a couple minutes to respond to that question, max 2 minutes. If you choose to answer it in less than 2 minutes, then that's great. We can move on to the next issue as far as that's concerned. And upon the round of questionings coming from the podium here, we'll then open it up to individuals in the audience that may have questions. And hopefully, the questions that are given to the candidates will encompass some of the ones that you may have. And if not, there's going to be a mic here that you'll have an opportunity to come up and ask that question. So if you are stage fright, you may want to just raise your hand and get a card from one of our members here, but we would like to have you up in front and address the candidates specifically, okay? So from that standpoint, I'd like to just go ahead and introduce the candidates. Trustee, Area 1, Vicki Snell. And from the same area, Trustee Steve Smith. And Trustee from Area 2 is Charlene Metoyer. And Trustee Area 2 as well, Michael Collier. Trustee Area 7, Walt Davenport. And also from Area 7 is Lisa Manfredi. There is one candidate that was unable to make it due to a conflict in his schedule, and that was Fidel Mora. We extend our best to him in his campaign and wish he could have been here, but we'll move on with the candidates that are here. So I'd like to go ahead at this point and to have each candidate, starting from Mr. Collier, to introduce yourself, 2 minutes, and let the audience know specifically a little bit about yourself and then what your plans are for the election. Okay.
Thank you. Ready? Go. My name is Michael Collier. Hi, I've lived in the city since 1976, I guess, when I first moved here. And then after living in Italy for 2 years, I got married and moved in here with my wife, and we've been here since then. We have 3 children that have graduated from Newport-Mesa Unified School District, specifically Estancia High School and the west side. Then we bought a house. Somebody asked me the question. We bought a house over in College Park, and so we've lived there for a while. And we have a son now, Scott, 15, who's a sophomore at Costa Mesa High School. So I actually ran for the board, and I served on the board 8 years ago. I was elected, and then I lost my past election, and I decided I need to come back. There's a lot of things that have to happen here that haven't happened since I've gone. The board had changed a little bit. Things have happened now. There are a lot of differences that seem to be going on. Maybe more contentious board meetings. I believe that I'm going to come back on the board and sort of help and get some of that stability back on the board. I don't have a specific agenda of something I want to do. I want to represent the people in my area and then yet represent all the schools, which is something that I've always done in the past. One of the things that specifically happened, I can give you an example of that. When the magnet school went in at Davis a few years back, I was in favor of having a music magnet or a fine arts magnet, mostly because I used to be a high school band director at one point, and I believe in the music programs and how they work at schools. At that point, the board decided to actually put in a science technology magnet, and I actually went, after expressing all of my opinions and views on that, I decided I would go along and be collaborative with the board and wait a time to actually do that. And I think the time is now where we need to get some more fine arts magnets, and I'm grateful for the programs that are in the school district. I'm grateful for those that are willing to serve, and I'm grateful to be here. Please vote for me for school board.
I'm Walt Davenport. I'm a 2-term incumbent, and looking forward to another term to continue with the work that is already underway and that I think has been moving the district forward in a good fashion over the last 8 years. What I see coming up is a continuation of our sound financial policies that kept the district out of trouble during the economic downturn. We didn't have to have furloughs, layoffs, shortened school days, any of the things that many of our sister districts around the area had to have. Well, that'll tell it.
Old school.
Anyway, I do want to continue that conservative fiscal policy. It keeps the district out of trouble. We keep some reserves on hand so that we can get over the rough times, and that's what helped us through the past rough times. I look forward to seeing the continuation of the college and career education program, which has an individual path for those students in high school who are going on to college or planning to, and a different path for those who are planning to enter the workforce upon graduation. And it's important to have both those opportunities available so that we don't get hung up on this idea that everybody's going to college and ignore the part of the population that's going to go into the workforce. And the courses that are offered in that workforce pathway are courses designed for the industries in the area that are doing well and are going to be hiring people. No sense training people for something that isn't going to be there when they graduate. And I see I've got 20 seconds left, and I think I'll just let it go at that and pass it on to Lisa.
Hello, and thank you all for being here tonight. I'm Lisa Manfredi, and I'm running for trustee seat area number 7. I live on the west side of Costa Mesa with my husband of 16 years and our 2 children. Our son attends 8th grade at Mesa Middle School, and our daughter is a 5th grader at Davis Magnet School. I'm a graduate at Cal State Fullerton, and I have my bachelor's degree in communications. I'm giving you a little bit of information about me. I'm a newcomer to all of this, so let's see. After graduating, I worked at Western Digital Technologies, a best-in-class computer hard drive company located in Irvine. It's a Fortune 200 company. I worked as a marketing manager for international business operations there, with sales and marketing as well. Among the various responsibilities that I held over the 12 years working there, my favorite position was working with our factories in Singapore and Malaysia on our worldwide supply and demand. I really enjoyed working with the other cultures and collaborating with our international associates. After leaving Western Digital, I began raising my family full-time and became heavily invested volunteering at my children's school and participating in the PTA. Over the years, I've held various board positions at Davis, and now I'm also on the board at Mesa Middle School. I've enjoyed working with our school community. It's outstanding, and we've created some amazing opportunities for our children. I helped develop and fundraise and build a curriculum for a curriculum-based learning garden, and I'm also one of the founders of our school's Ecology and Recycling Center. We partnered with the Orange County chapter of the United States Building Council, and we worked to retrofit a classroom on our campus where we can measure the benefits of the renovation of a Classroom 7 to a standard Classroom 8. So it can help our school district. The scientists are taking measurements of these classrooms, and it can help the school district going forward making decisions on improvements to our campuses, and also if we ever build a new campus. The funding for this project was generated by the Green Building Council, and there was no cost to Newport-Mesa. Is my time up? Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Metoyer.
Hi, I'm Charlene Metoyer, and I'm going to say that if you try hard, you get an A. My name is spelled Metoyer, but it's a French name. I have been a teacher in Newport-Mesa. I taught elementary at Paularino. I taught middle school at Ensign. I've been an administrator in adult education on the west side at Pomona, Ray, Whittier, and even over at Davis. I was also the district's very first science and math coordinator, and then I was principal over at East Bluff and Harborview. I have the breadth of district in my background. To top that off, I have 4 children who went through Newport-Mesa schools, Costa Mesa High School, and I've lived in the community 38 years. I've been PTA president, PFO president, and I've seen all sides of our district. That's one of the biggest things I'd like to bring to the board. I know what's going on, I understand it, and I communicate well, so I can take educanese and break it down into understandable language. My 3 main goals are academic excellence. I think if this is the bar that's set in one part of the district, this is the bar that should be across the district everywhere. I believe in budget responsibility. Our district has done a fabulous job with the budget, and I would like to continue that. And technology is important to me. It's the new pencil. It's what our kids are using. We should probably have them teach us, but we will make sure that they have access to all of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell.
Hello.
Just talking.
It's on.
Just talk. Ooh, okay. I have an audio guy back there. I'm Vicki Snell. I know a lot of you in this room. I am a longtime resident of Costa Mesa. I have 2 children. They went through Adams Elementary, Tewinkle, and Estancia High School. My daughter is currently a junior at USC, and my son is a freshman at Cal State Fullerton. I see Barbara Harrington back there, and when my daughter was in kindergarten, I was the parent that was on PTA. I've been an active member of PTA on executive boards as president for all 3 schools. I was also president for the district PTA. We call it council, but it was Mesa Verde. So I was able to work with not only with teachers and parents from my own zone, but throughout the zone. I care about representing my area, but I also care about all the children getting what they need. My main goal is to, I believe in the neighborhood schools concept, and my main goal is to bring our parents, our families back to our neighborhood schools. And we are working at it right now. We have some exciting ideas for Adams Elementary, and that is what I'm going to be working towards. I'm also, thank you. I'm also very interested in career and technical education. I agree with Walt. Every child should be prepared for a 4-year college. But the reality is some are not interested in completing that type of a degree. They want a certification, they want to go to work, they have interests in other fields, and we need to meet all their needs. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Steve Smith. One of the most important issues we face, not only in an election year, but every day of our lives, is the education of our children. So for being here tonight, I commend you and I thank you. I've lived in Costa Mesa for 28 years. For 16 years, my family and I lived on the west side. My 2 kids went to Victoria Elementary School. I've been a Mesa Verde resident since 2002. And for 15 years, I wrote a weekly column for the Daily Pilot, some of you may recall. Over the past 20 years, I've been active in all of my kids' schools and active in the community by serving on committees and active in youth sports, coaching 3 different sports for my kids. My candidacy is supported by the Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers, and I am the teacher's choice. Since July, I've been writing a blog that has included at least one idea each week on how to improve our schools. I'm the only candidate who's doing that. The state of the schools today is mixed. If your kids go to a school in Newport Beach, congratulations, they're doing very well, and as your board member, I have no plans to mess with success. In Costa Mesa, however, things are different. There are schools on the city's west side that are underperforming, and there are teachers there who need better solutions than they've been receiving from the current administration. At Adams Elementary School right here in Mesa Verde, there are parents with kids who live within walking distance who are sending their children elsewhere, even out of the district. I want to stop the rubber stamping at school board meetings, and I want to stop the complacency and the indifference that has delayed improvement. I want to increase communication with the community and with you, and I want to restore fiscal, administrative, and academic accountability to the board. And I want to restore respect for the taxpayers who pay for all this. I appreciate your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, now we have an opportunity here to hear each of the candidates and learn a little bit about them. The next series here is going to be the question period, where we will give the candidates a question and give them 2 minutes to respond. We will just remind you that there is a timekeeper up front who no longer has a phone in his hand, but a little sign that will warn you when you're down to 30 seconds. Now, more importantly here, some of you during your introductions addressed some of the questions, and I will hope that if there's a little bit of redundancy here, that some of the other candidates did not get a chance to do so. So I'll start with our questions, and I'll start with Mr. Smith. You just finished up, and then we'll work our way down the table. And the next question will then go to Ms. Snell. We'll rotate it so that each candidate will have an opportunity to, in fact, address each question, okay? All right, the first question to each of you as candidates, what are your 2 priorities for Newport-Mesa Unified School District should you become elected for the position? What are your 2 priorities for Newport-Mesa Unified School District should you become elected to the board?
I touched on that in my remarks. I see a lot of complacency and indifference, particularly in Costa Mesa, and those of you who live here have experienced that. It's almost as though we live in this bizarro world here. There are two completely different attitudes toward the schools. That has to change, and I'm going to speak what many of you are saying, many of you have been thinking over the years, that we're treated, sometimes we feel like we're treated like stepchildren, like second-class citizens, and we are not getting the attention that we deserve. Schools have been floundering for years, so my primary goal, to borrow a phrase from a former presidential candidate, I will focus like a laser beam on trying to improve the schools that are underperforming. And I can tell you from having spoken to enough teachers, it's not the quality of the teachers. They want help. They want their bureaucracy reduced. They need help that we can provide, and I intend to take the lead to try to help them. That's number one. Number two, there is an awful lot of fiscal accountability that needs to be restored to the district as well. I've written in the past about, for example, the travel budget of the district and whether we should be, in fact, spending as much money to travel to conferences as we should when we can do these things virtually. I'm a veteran conference attender. I've hosted them. I've exhibited at them, I've spoken at them, attended countless in my career, and today we do not need to travel to get the information that we need. If we're going to, then I'm going to insist that every person who travels file some kind of report to show the benefit of that travel, for example, and how it's going to improve our schools.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Snell, same question to you.
Okay, I went over my two priorities already, but I want to speak to a couple of things. One is the teachers' union endorsement that Steve Smith obtained. I did not ask for that endorsement because I felt it was a conflict of interest. I think when you're on a board, we were in negotiations, when you're on a board, I don't think it's appropriate to take money from an organization that you vote on their salary and their benefits. So I just wanted to mention that. My big priority, of course, is the neighborhood schools and bringing the families back into our neighborhood schools. But there have been some successes in our neighborhood schools. Adams is one that certainly needs some help, and we, as I spoke about before, we have plans for a signature academy there. And these are things that you have to come up with and work with parents to make happen. The board is not complacent. The board is not disinterested, or do they rubber stamp anything. If anybody has attended a meeting, they know how much the board, how hard they work to be informed on all the issues, how they visit the schools, they sit in the classrooms. So that is just completely not true. And I'm getting off my point. I'm sorry, I get a little irritated. Okay. Okay. The career and technical education, I think, is very important, as are the signature academies, in making education more relevant to especially high school students. It's important that students are able to look at their futures and, oh, sorry. Okay, I'll continue later.
My top two priorities are academic excellence, and our teachers are the best. I have phenomenal, and I consider myself a teacher probably till my dying day. Once you're a teacher in your blood, that's who you are. Our teachers work hard and they work well, and they are adapting to giving challenging instruction and creating lessons that will enrich the children and bring all children up. Yes, some schools are scoring better on exams than other schools, but that doesn't mean that the learning isn't happening. But we do need to keep, like I said, that bar needs to be here for the district. And it needs to be, parents, children, and the community needs to be aware that the bar is here for everyone. So working with the teachers and working with the board, we can write goals and ensure that the fiscal focus is on raising those academic standards and providing the teachers with the support they need and the children with the education that they are currently getting and even more. That led me into the fiscal responsibility. The district has done a wonderful job of making sure that we didn't lose out. Okay, something else. Oh, good. They didn't lose out on something during the economic downturn, and they should be applauded for that because our students didn't lose 1 minute of instruction due to that. We need to be mindful of that in the future. We need to keep the education of the students and any cuts that may or may not happen as far away from the classroom as possible. And I feel that we should check with the schools and with the classrooms to find out what the needs are. Because sometimes when you're sitting at a different angle, you perceive the needs of the classroom to be different. It would be great to know what's really going on. That one's really mine. So my two academic goals, my goals are academic excellence and budget responsibility.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, Mrs. Manfredi.
Thank you. As a Newport-Mesa Unified School District board member, I would provide parent representation on the board. Having worked in my children's school and being in the trenches and working with our teachers and our administration, I feel that it's important to have a parent on the school board to include meaningful conversations and ideas, to add meaningful experiences to our children's education. I would work for continued rigorous and challenging academics with competitive learning resources for all the schools, but mostly as an Area 7 candidate, I would work to make Costa Mesa neighborhood schools a parent's first choice for their children's education. And I would do that by I would start doing that by supporting and monitoring the implementation of the signature academies that are starting on the west side of Costa Mesa to provide enhanced learning opportunities for our children. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Davenport?
We've got a wonderful cadre of teachers in this district. Well, one of my objectives will be to continue to provide strong teacher training and support so that they have the tools to provide the best possible education to our students and just continue to do the wonderful job that they're doing. Another thing that I'm particularly want to achieve is more parent participation. Statistically, it's well known that the more parents participate in the student's education, the better the student is going to do. I think we can definitely improve on parent participation. I think particularly on the west side and some of the schools that have already been mentioned that perhaps aren't performing as well as others in the district. So parent participation is one of my very main priorities and something that is already being worked on in the district, and we simply want to strengthen that and make it even more effective than it has been.
Thank you very much. Mr. Collier, same question to you, please.
Thank you. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot is since Dr. Hubbard had some issues here, there's been a lot of distractions on the board lately. We seem to have a lot of the same issues that we've had over the years, but there's a ton of distractions. If you look, if you Google lawsuits for the district, you'll see a whole bunch of those. There's just everything else that takes the board's attention away from what needs to be done to support our students. My first goal and priority would be to figure out a way to get the distractions out of the schools, out of the problems, promote better customer service so we can do a better job of educating our students. Along with that comes, we've actually hired a new superintendent that's supposed to be, know how to promote some of the activities of those schools that aren't performing quite as well. We just haven't had a chance to put him to work doing it because of all the distractions going on, as one example. My kids went through the West Side schools, my older kids, Victoria, Adams, Wilson. I was actually the PTA president at Wilson for a while. T. Winkle, Estancia graduates. They did pretty well. They're all now graduates from college. They have families. They're working as, one of my sons is a COO of a corporation, Estancia graduate. One of my sons is a real estate executive, does loans and real estate in Huntington Beach. My daughter has her degree in, I can't remember what it was, speech pathology. So they're all done pretty well going through West Side schools. I think there's a big issue that we need to think about and how to get the people to actually understand that those schools aren't bad and the kids will make progress there if we let them. There's another little secret that we don't know. There are a lot of kids that used to sneak in from Irvine and other districts to come into ours also. We just have to pay attention. Our schools aren't bad, we just have to pay attention to what's going on. My second priority, of course, would be to make sure that academic opportunities are the same for all the students wherever they go. We're now subject to Common Core standards as we go forward. I'm sure we'll have some questions about that later on. But the kids are, my son in particular now is as a sophomore, he's studying trigonometry, which means he's not subject to those things, but his Math 3 class is not even available yet at Costa Mesa High School. So making sure the academic is available and making sure that we have less distractions on the board, those are my goals.
Thank you very much. Well, the next question will be directed to Ms. Snell, and we'll start going down the table. The next question is, Costa Mesa has a large number of parents enrolling their children in Huntington Beach schools, receiving intra-district transfers, or have children attending private schools. What would you do to help keep local parents from attending schools outside of the neighborhood schools?
Well, I would make sure their neighborhood school meets their children's needs. I believe they do right now meet their children's needs, but they need to feel comfortable with that. We need to offer, the signature academies are a great idea. Right now they're more in the high schools, but they will be filtering down into the elementary schools. I mention Adams Elementary a lot because I live 2 doors down and my kids did attend that school. And we have already formulated some plans that will make for a special academy at Adams that will start taking applications in January. So you need to do these type of things in your schools. It's just not the way people don't automatically go to their neighborhood school anymore. They want to be, they want to know that they're going to get these special pathways for their children. On the west side, I don't know if there's going to be a question about the west side, but those schools do need some help, but they have improved. Over the last 3 years, they have improved. Scores have gone up in those schools. So these things take time, but as far as encouraging the neighbors to go to their school, there has to be something at the school that draws them to it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Metoyer? Thank you.
We definitely have to make sure that the marketing is out there on how good our schools are. My children, too, went through Costa Mesa schools, and they have all been very successful, gone through college, have jobs, which I'd like some of our colleges to remind children they're supposed to have jobs at the end of college. And, and the interesting thing of the movement, the fluidity of going from one school to another will be counteracted by the strength of the signature academies that are being developed at the schools, and it does start with elementary. The Costa Mesa high schools that have their academies started and in place are outstanding. The elementary schools are designing unique programs, dual immersion programs in both Mandarin at College Park and Spanish at Whittier School will be outstanding for helping students succeed and to draw parents to that school when they want their child to have a bilingual background. Performing arts is some children's saving face at a school. Sonora has a strong program in fine arts, and Killebrook is working in digital arts. On the west side, I know that Pomona and Ray are both working in the arts. When it comes to career, we have the elementary schools are working towards designing exciting programs that will feed into the high school signature academies. And we need to get the word out as community members. Our schools are good. Don't drive your kid down the hill, send your kids to their neighborhood school so they can go to school with their friends.
Thank you very much. Same question to you, Ms. Manfredi.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Okay, the question is that Costa Mesa has a large number of parents enrolling their children in Huntington Beach schools and receiving intra-district transfers, or have children attending private schools. What would you do to help keep local parents from attending schools outside their neighborhood?
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
In my neighborhood, there are perhaps 2 children that attend our home school. All the other children either go down the hill to Huntington Beach schools, or they'll transfer across to Newport Beach School, or they'll attend a private school. My family attends Davis. We were drawn to it because of the magnet, the focus of science, technology, engineering, and math. That was a great fit for our family, and that's why we chose that school. I would love to bring these type of opportunities to the West Side schools. I feel that the Signature Academy is a great beginning at Whittier School. It provides a compelling reason for families to want to attend their neighborhood school. I think a great idea perhaps would be to couple that Signature Academy at Whittier with an international business curriculum that the children can learn as well, that would feed into the international business program at Newport Harbor High School. That's basically it, really. We need compelling reasons for families to want to stay in our schools. The ideas of Signature Academies are wonderful, but I would, as a school board member, I would monitor the implementation and push to make sure that they are implemented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davenport?
Well, it's interesting that Char mentioned the word marketing, and I don't think most of us think of marketing as something that a school district does. But I think we do have to do that. Our West Side schools are not bad. Adams is constantly held up as an example of losing students to Huntington Beach. I think Adams is doing a wonderful job. They've got a strong principal. Those of you who know Gabe Del Real, I think, would agree with that. He's doing a marvelous job. He's got some strong teachers there. And there's every opportunity at that school for students to get a good education. But some of them don't understand it. They don't know it. So it has to be marketed. And I think that's the same concept in other parts of the district. Whittier has a strong new principal. And I don't know that the community at large knows and understands that. So we have to do a marketing job for Whittier as well. I think the same thing holds true for some of the other West Side schools. We've got strong principals, strong faculties, and strong academic programs. And there is no solid reason to leave those schools to go someplace else. We just need to get that word out, make sure that the community understands the value of those schools and the caliber of the program that they're offering.
Thank you. Mr. Collier?
Thank you. It's one thing to market the schools, which I think we're getting better at. It's another thing to get the parents to believe the marketing, and I think that's where a lot of our issues come up right now. We can say we have the best stuff at whatever school we have, but we need to somehow have the parents find a way to believe what's going on, and that's a difficult situation. My goal for the schools will be to put more magnet schools in the elementary school level and to pay attention to the academies as we're moving forward in the high school levels. There's lots of kids. I figure that as we get going with some of these programs, a lot of the old testing that we used to do in the schools now has changed a bit, and it's becoming more Common Core and some of the things going on. Most of the kids can actually master high school and probably pass the old high school examination as when they get into high school as freshmen. But if we put together a program of structure where kids can finish up the things they need to do to master the test and then direct them in such a way so they can look at what they want to do with the rest of their life and put together mastery programs so they can master math at an earlier level and then move on to what they want to do. Let me give you, for instance, social media is now the new marketing platform everybody's using in the world. Do you know there's only one person in the world right now that has their doctorate in social media? I'm sure there'll be lots coming up and lots of programs coming up to match that. We just don't have that in our schools yet as such as a classroom setting. I don't know why we don't. But if we work towards putting in that rigor, that more discipline for the students to understand, let them master something they're interested in, they will become better students. I think then that becomes an example. I put my kids through neighborhood schools on the west side, didn't move many other places. They did fine. I'm doing the same with my son now that I'm living in Costa Mesa. He's doing wonderfully. The schools are great. We as parents need to step in and support the schools and do the things we can to promote them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
There's no secret as to how to keep parents from sending their kids to Huntington Beach or paying out of their pocket for private schools. We have to improve academic performance. Okay? It sounds easy. And it may be if we started using the principle of best practices more and more. Best practices says that these are not the only underperforming schools in the country, that there are underperforming schools that have turned around. So we seek them out. We go to those schools, we go to those districts, or just contact them and say, ask 3 basic questions. What's working? What's not? And if you could start all over, what would you do differently? And we bring those back to these schools and apply them here. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to throw another program du jour to try to turn things around. It's already been done. And I've been writing about this in the pilot column for many, many years. It's not as complex as it may sound. But the bottom line is, for these parents, we've got to improve academic performance. That's really what they're seeking.
Thank you very much. The next question, and this will be addressed to Mrs. Metoyer. The Newport-Mesa is using $1 million of reserve funds to fund this year's budget. Do you agree with this, yes or no? And if you could provide an explanation to your response.
This year, Newport-Mesa was helping to make up the deficit over the past 4 years of not giving any raises to any staff member. This year, they gave the highest raise of the entire county to our staff members. And that was in an effort to equalize and to make up for not being able to give a raise for 4 years, the cost of living regardless. That caused us to spend more money this year than would have normally come about during the course of expenditures. In a perfect world, we should not have to dip into, or not have our reserves go below a certain percentage point. I do believe it's 3%. That is the comfortable, your school is still moving forward, solvent and moving forward, and that's where we should try to maintain. But we've had an influx of one-time money that was able to be used for this, and we have the adoption of new materials that is more expensive, and they are one-time adoption fees and one-time costs. Would I think it's a good idea as a common practice? Absolutely not. Sometimes you have that extra money put away for a rainy day, and the staffs were being rained on. They needed to have that this year. So that was a wise decision this year.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi, same question.
Thank you. I agree with Charlene. I feel that this was necessary to keep our teachers happy so that they can educate our children. They deserve to have this raise they've been waiting for 4 years for it. I'm glad that we had the reserves in order to do it. With the property taxes that fund our school district, I feel that it'll be reasonable that we will build that reserve back up again soon. So I do feel that this was a good thing to do. I felt the board that was being fiscally conservative by saving that money, having that money on the side in order to not cut programs, not cut teachers, and not cut services to our students.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Davenport, same question to you, please.
Yes, I do agree with using the reserves. I think that's what they're there for. You do get a rainy day, and that's the time to dip into the reserves and make sure that you get through the rainy day unscathed. And we did that during the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't depleted the reserves by any means, but it was certainly good to have them there and to be able to use them to avoid the negative impacts that we might have had otherwise. I think, too, it was time to provide a salary increase for our teachers and our classified personnel. They have gone without for a while, and I think they truly appreciate the fact that they did get an increase this year, and the reserves were able to help provide for that. So yes, I totally agree on using the reserves when called for.
Thank you very much. Mr. Collier, same question to you, please.
Sure. I also believe that a school board or any other board has a tough decision to make, and that's why we elect people to these boards to make these tough decisions. Reserves are by law set up so that we can have somewhere to go if we need to go there, but you have to sit down and project what's going to come in next year to take care of those things. The board this time agreed to make sure that our teachers were taken care of. I think that's a good goal for that. But they also projected for next year to make up the reserves to make sure that the levels of funding would be appropriate for the coming year, and I think that's good. In my mind, I would like to never have to go into reserves. I'd like to live within a budget and do things that way. But that's the perfect world. Reserves are there to save it. But I have a savings account at home, so one of those weird things. I don't live paycheck to paycheck all the time. So. But I think when you get to fiscally conservative thought in the way you spend, you keep your reserves and you keep them there for a need. And the board made a tough decision to dip into the reserves for a while to take care of something that needed to be done. And I'm sure they'll build up the reserve for the next year to make sure that they have them in place again in case something happens. But we all need to work together to make sure that the money is spent appropriately. But 4 years is a long time to wait for a raise. So we'll hope that that works out well, and that if we don't get the property values all up, they have another 4 years. Maybe we'll have to dip in again and give them another raise, but we'll see how that works. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Collier. Mr. Smith, same question to you, please.
I'm not going to second guess the board's decision to dip into the reserves. That's what they're there for. The real issue is how did we get there in the first place? Why did we have to do it? And that comes back to more fiscal accountability. It's really hard to justify dipping into the reserves when we're giving the superintendent 2 raises in less than a year. And we've got all of these little things that are happening to the budget, these little nicks that add up to an awful lot of money. I mentioned that, and I've also mentioned that the travel and conference budget as well. There needs to be more fiscal oversight. There needs to be at least one person on the school board who raises his or her hand and says, you know what, we've got to tighten our belts. We shouldn't be doing this year or next year. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Ms. Snell?
This board and Dr. Reed, our CBO, very conservative on budgets. We have a higher than normal reserve, which is why we can dip into that reserve. There are other things going on that have nothing to do with travel. I mean, that is just a drop in the bucket to what we spend. So, but the other things, this is going to happen next year as well. We're going to have to go into the reserves next year as well because of the increased contribution to the teacher retirement fund through the state. It has gone up 8%. Teachers have to pay more as well. We're not going to have any more Common Core money to implement Common Core, which is really important if we want to support the teachers and we want the academics to be rigorous and we want to give them that support to teach our children. We have to have programs. That's important. So it's easy to say cut the budget unless you give me what you want to cut. What do you want to cut? Our administration is right on target, the ratio between teachers and administration. We are spending our money very conservatively, but we have to look outside. We have to come up and think outside the box and come up with partnerships with the community for technical equipment. There's a lot of partnerships and grants and things out there that we've already gotten. And so that's what we have to do. We have to watch and make sure we're spending the money wisely, which we have been doing, and we need to Okay, I lose my train of thought when that happens. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Appreciate the response. The next question to each of you is, many of our classrooms do not have air conditioning to ensure a comfortable learning and working environment for our children. So the question is, do you think the school district should spend money on air conditioning? And if yes, would you include all the schools, and how do you propose to incur this expense? And this question will be first directed to Ms. Manfredi.
Yes, I do feel that all the classrooms should have air conditioning. How we're going to budget for it, I don't know. I think it's long overdue. We've had a lot of hot days. It's not just recent that this has happened. This has been going on for years. A lot of times people say we live in coastal community, we get a breeze. Yesterday, I sat in my daughter's classroom for her goal setting. It's kind of like a parent-teacher conference with her teacher for 20 minutes. Inside the classroom, it was almost 90 degrees with a fan blowing hot air on us. It was just the three of us in the classroom. At the end of the 20 minutes, I saw a bead of sweat go down the teacher's face, and I thought to myself, this is just not right. Imagine what this class is like with 32 children and one teacher and fans blowing hot air. I don't know how to budget for it. However, I do feel that the district should look for a short-term solution in the meantime, perhaps bringing in portable air conditioning units into the classroom to make the learning environment safe and more comfortable for our students. Not to mention, having filtered air is better. There's so many children who have breathing issues, asthma and allergies, and being in an air-conditioned environment would help those situations for these children in particular. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Mr. Davenport, the same question to you, please.
I think it is important. I'm not sure that it needs to be done across the board at one time. I think there are some schools that have a greater need than others. Their location is such that we're greatly impacted by the weather, by the high temperatures. There is a study underway to try to determine what can and should be done along these lines. It's not very far along, so I can't give you any answers on it, but the district is definitely looking at it and definitely aware. Portable air conditioners is not the answer, because basically an air conditioner is a heat exchanger. It takes heat out of the air, blows the cool air that the heat has been removed from to cool people. But if it's portable air conditioner, it's sitting in the middle of a room. If you're sitting in front of it, you're getting cool air, and you're sitting behind it, you're getting hot air. So they're not the answer. Fans have been somewhat successful. The district has paid for teachers to purchase fans for their rooms, and that's helped. It's certainly not the long-term solution. But that long-term solution is being investigated, and there will be some solutions coming forward.
Thank you very much. Mr. Collier, same question to you, please.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Davenport. I'm the guy that likes air conditioning. My car is always air conditioned, even during the cold days, so I'm the guy that has it on all the time. There is the issue of paying for it. The only thing I can think of, our budget is set up so that it's about 80, 20%. 80% is to pay for teachers, administrators, the rest of it's for the kids. So I don't know where we're going to get the money from just looking at our regular budget, unless we cut a bunch of people or we cut a bunch of programs for kids. So I don't think that's a good option. I don't think we should have another bond issue comes up to pay for that. We've already done that a lot, and the taxpayers are paying for a lot of different things. So we're going to have to look at that. I know the board's looking at, instead of snow days, we'll have heat days. So it's one of the things they're looking at, where the kids can take a day off if it's too hot. But I agree with Mr. Davenport. We need to look at it and then find out what schools would mostly benefit from that. Along with the health issue, since somebody brought it up, that is an important thing to keep in consideration, the kids breathing the cleaner air. Yeah, if you're breathing better air and you have a more controlled environment, actually test scores will go up and kids will think clearer. So that's a good option to have there too. But paying for it will be difficult. If you can think of anybody that has a couple $1 million that would like to donate to pay for air conditioning in the schools, please let the board know as soon as possible, and we'll see what we can do with some of those things. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Collier. Mr. Smith, that question to you, please.
The problem is not that we don't have air conditioning. That's a symptom. The problem is an ongoing failure to anticipate and plan. Air conditioning should have been included in the first bond 14 years ago. It wasn't, and now teachers and students are paying the price. At that time, they either didn't think of it, or they thought of it and they said no. The other challenge we have is a lack of critical solution thinking. The solution for no air conditioning right now is to tell teachers to go out and buy fans. Oh yeah, we'll reimburse you, but you go out and you buy fans. Well, excuse me, I don't want my most important people, my most important employees, having to spend even more of their free time to go out and provide a short-term solution for something that somebody else missed many years ago. And to listen to some of the comments now, you'd think that these are the first hot days that we ever had in this area. So, how to pay for it? It's a great question. I don't have an answer. But as your board member, I've heard enough complaints about it, and I know it's affecting instruction in the schools, and I will make it a priority to find out how we can pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell?
Portable air conditioners are not a solution. They're not safe for classrooms that hold 30 people. They're safe in homes where there's 4 people, but there is a carbon monoxide issue with portable air conditioners in the wall, so that's not a solution. Fans, blow it all around, don't help much, but makes you feel like you're getting a little cooler. Definitely, we need to look at air conditioning. It has gotten hotter over the years. There are more days where it's completely miserable. Some schools there are schools that are air conditioned. There are schools that are up on hills and get a nice breeze. Most schools have portables that are air conditioned. So we need to think outside the box. We need to try to have at least partial air conditioning as we get money to pay for it in each school, so that when we have these hot days, that classes can go into the multipurpose room, so that early in the day they can have the subjects that are more difficult. We can do it. We can find ways to make this work, but we need to come up with a plan to eventually air condition everything, because that's just with the way the weather is going, it's a need. But again, we have the budget, and we need to find a way to put it in there, maybe do it over 10 years. It can be done, and I think it's important for the comfort of the students and the teachers.
Thanks, Ms. Snell. Ms. Metoyer, please.
Yes, it's hot. Yes, we need to get air conditioning into the schools. And no, I don't have the magic answer, but I have been thinking, and I know that the board just recently adopted a plan to use solar plant panels at each school to help reduce the costs of electricity, and maybe some of those savings that we have in the electricity could be channeled toward the budget to add to the air conditioning. Or as those of you that have air conditioners know, it's not just the cost of putting it in, but the maintenance is very expensive. So maybe the maintenance portion of it could be offset by the savings from adding the solar panels. That's just, my brain works on problem solving. And what we need is ideas thrown out there. We have brilliant people in our community, so we just need to listen to our community, listen to the people that work in the district, listen to the parents, and come up with solutions and plans, and make it happen. And it is challenging because we are a large institution and nothing moves quickly, but we do need to make the rooms bearable. I worked at a school that did not have air conditioning, and neither did the office. So I didn't feel bad when my teachers were saying it was hot. I knew it was hot. I was hot. And I would love to see some relief brought out to the schools now.
Thanks, Ms. Metoyer. The next question for each of you is, do you support and do you or do you not think that the flagship academy programs will make a significant difference in the Costa Mesa schools? And we'll start that question with Mr. Davenport.
I think the flagship academies are a good idea. There's some work to be done yet on the implementation of those, how they're going to be made available to students from other parts of the district than where the actual academy is located. That is being worked on, but I think that each of the high school zones has come up with a good program which incorporates not just the high school, but the middle schools and the elementary schools in that particular zone. There's been an awful lot of work put into that by the administration and the teachers at each level, and I think they've come up with some excellent ideas, and I think they will benefit the entire district as we get further into the actual implementation and how it's going to work, how people can transfer throughout the district to get into the academy that they would like to be part of.
Thank you very much. Mr. Collier?
Thank you. First of all, one quick comment. 14 years ago, they did add air conditioning to some of the sites that as the bond went through, as they improved, air conditioning went into places there. So we've always been adding it, and we're working to keep getting better at that. So we're trying to address the issues as we're going forward. Along with the other question, yes, I do agree in flagship academies. I talked about that briefly a few minutes ago when I talked about mastery. I believe that students should master the academic things they need to do and then spend time thinking about pondering what they want to do as a career. An academic academy will give the students an opportunity to try in the fine arts department to get better at whatever their craft that they think it will be, and they'll be able to develop them that way, and they'll be able to change and think about different academic academies. When our students get out of school, there's going to be an interesting thing that happens. They're going to be looking for jobs, and the jobs that we think about don't even exist for the kids 10 years from now. Things are moving so quickly, technology is changing so quickly. We need to get our kids to start thinking about in a different direction, improving their mind, becoming critical thinkers, developing a plan. Give you an example of this. My son is in a class now where they're allowed to use notes, and they put their notes down, and it works for their testing. So they went back to a guy last year who took his notes, and I just happened to be sitting around listening to these kids talking as they're looking at his notes, because they can add notes and they can do anything they want to. That's part of the program. I heard my son and another kid going, "We can't use those notes. Those aren't teaching us the right principles here. We just can't use these notes. We have to develop our own." It's a different kind of student than when I was going to school trying to pass those things. They now have a lot of different opportunities with the internet, with programs there. An academy, a flagship academy, is going to give a chance to our students to learn and to develop academically as they need to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
I support the program. I think it's a wonderful idea. What I will insist on is that we have regular benchmarks and metrics to measure success. And I would like those reviewed by people who don't have a vested interest in that success. So we make sure that we're progressing according to plan, that if we're not, we make some adjustments, or somebody really has the guts to stand up and say, you know what, this isn't working, we have to try something else. So I support the program, but I will insist on regular measurements to determine how we're doing.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell?
I am a huge supporter of the Signature Academies for several reasons that I've already told you about. I think it gives students the opportunity to experience what they think they want to do. And I also, in my perfect world, each student would be able to go to the high school of their choice that offers the academy they're interested in. That doesn't work right now. We have to look for ways to make that work, but at this point, it's good for the high school. I want it to trickle down, and the plan is for it to trickle down into the grammar school. It's kind of the same as a magnet school, and the students that go there can just go on the four-year path to getting into college, but other students can experience medical, all different types of areas for career and technical education. So I think it's perfect for where the world is going now. I also think it is a selling point to parents because it gives parents the opportunity to talk with their kids about what their kids want to do and to nurture those interests. So I think it's one of the best things that the board has come up with in the last 5 years. And I think it's going to have a great future.
Well, thank you very much. Ms. Metoyer?
The signature academies are wonderful, and I totally support them. Looking at them at the high school level, an academy will offer classes that are beyond the child that is just in the narrow academy that is looking at that as a goal, but it provides enriched rigor in other classes that are needed to support those academies. Now this offers more challenge and more opportunity for all children at the schools, in addition to just those that have designed that, yes, I'm going to go through the ACES Arts Academy, or yes, I'm going to go through the Engineering Academy. It may be, I'm going to take this engineering math class because it's more interesting to me than just the plain 9th grade math. I think that offers something to so many more children. And again, with the trickle down into the elementary, having an arts program or having a digital arts program at your elementary school means you've got children that can take that technology skill that they have, so much more than we do, and learn even more and learn how they can do it. And again, yes, they will be thinking about their careers and what they're going to do with this. Yes, I support the academies, and yes, I do think they'll make a difference. And I know that that academy education has to be monitored and has to have measures. And I will absolutely stand up and say, why are we doing this if it isn't working?
Well, thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi?
Yes, I support Signature Academies. As a parent of 2 students who have gone through Davis Magnet School, I feel that having a focus provides students an excellent opportunity to take their education to another level. My son, in particular, really enjoys science and math. He dreams in math. He reads National Geographic the minute it shows up on the porch. He loves it. He made a seamless transfer into the Delta program at Mesa Middle School, and he's really enjoying it there. I felt that the elementary school did a great job preparing my son for the Delta program. My daughter, on the other hand, she loves the arts, so chances are she'll be joining the Estancia Zone Academy, and I think that these academies are a wonderful idea. Again, implementing them is very important, and measuring their success is top priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll start our next question here. And speaking of the flagship programs, I think more importantly here, because we know that each school and each zone potentially would not be able to facilitate all the different type of programs that the students would be seeking. So would you consider and implement a flagship academy that the students would have the ability to choose which academy they wanted to attend and transfer to that school? And how do you think that could be accomplished if the student was seeking a specific flagship program that was not provided at its current school? And that question goes to Mr. Collier.
I think that's how it's set up. We hope that most kids are actually want to find something. We're looking to find something in particular that happens in each one of the schools that will attract the students there. But there's multiple academies and flagships that are going on. Costa Mesa High School has Delta, and they have Mesa, which is for business, and they're putting in the new Fine Arts Academy. It's set up so you can do that. If a student wants to go, they should be able to pay attention, talk to their parents, talk to their counselor, and find a way to get into a program wherever they need to go. The academies are there to help and promote the neighborhood schools. We might have 2 fine arts academies eventually, if there's a need for at 2 different schools. We're not really. I don't think we're limited to what we can do. If a student wants to learn, a student can find ways to learn, and we as a school board will make sure that the opportunities are in place so that they can become the best that they can. We're looking for ways to educate the whole student. That not only includes the academy setting, but we have to think about the physical education, the health, the academics they need to do certain things. We're setting up magnet schools at the elementary schools and then academies to finish it as they get into the high schools. And as a student follows that program, for instance, the Mandarin from College Park through Costa Mesa High School is important, and the different things that are set up that way. So the board is sensitive to those things, and I'm sure that if there's a need, we'll find a way to make it happen.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
I would love to have every student go to the academy that he or she wants, but that could result in some lopsided attendance numbers. So it's important that we put a cap on that attendance for that academy, and then if we need to, we have to initiate some sort of lottery or similar program to allow students to get in. So, but yes, I would very much like to see kids moving between schools to attend the academy of their choice.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell, please.
I too would like to see students have a choice in which academy they want to attend. It does cause some problems because some of our schools are impacted, but I think if, again, we think outside the box, there's ways we can solve that. Obviously, if all the schools are really strong and have academies that attract students, that won't be a problem. One thing we can do initially is we are going to be offering a college class, and there are ROP classes that are offered after school. So students right now are certain when these are offered, are certainly able to go to the other school for the after school class, whether it be a college class that we're going to be starting this year, or an ROP class. My son went to an ROP class in Huntington Beach that he was interested in. So that's a start. That's a way for them to get a taste of these different things. But we have to work on strengthening the academies so that all the academies are strong. And there's students in Newport Beach that want to come to Estancia or Costa Mesa High School, and then we won't have that problem.
Thank you very much. Ms. Metoyer?
The signature academies were designed so that there was a strong academic program and a strong arts program at each of the high schools. There's a different avenue of arts, but there's a strong academic and a strong arts program. So for the whole child, if there's those two pieces that they desire, is wonderful. It would be nice if a child could go to the school that fit their desires. It would take, that's a logistic challenge that I know our board would be able to address when we could. I would rather see children have what they need at their local high schools so that they can go to the school that with their friends and be there with their neighborhood and continue all the way through. A strong school would be able to do that. But if there's only one school in the district that has Mandarin and you would like your child to speak Mandarin, there needs to be a way for your child to attend that school.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi, please.
Thank you. I agree with Charlene. It's kind of a double-edged sword. The academy is a great opportunity for the kids, but again, as a representative, as a trustee for Area 7, keeping students in your neighborhood schools in Costa Mesa is a huge priority as well. So managing the logistics and how the students would apply for these academies, who would be accepted, and what the cap would be up to the board to decide. See how it goes from there. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Mr. Davenport.
Well, allowing free movement of students between academies raises some issues, one of which is space, another of which is transportation. And those have to be worked out yet. Staff is working on them. They'll be brought to the board. I don't know what form they'll take when they come to the board, but they are issues that need to be resolved if this is going to work the way it has been designed to work and provide the best opportunity for students throughout the district.
Thank you very much. Now, the next question is a little long here. And I would ask that you just follow me with regards to the introduction to this and give us your best response, and it is very long, but it really serves a purpose here. And that is the high-quality education, early education. It's been shown to return an average of between $7 and $11 for every $1 invested. Virtually all levels of society would benefit from this investment in human capital. And that's especially at the local level. So the teachers would automatically be more effective because of better prepared students. School performance metrics would improve. And all the students would be challenged to excel because their classmates would be achieving at a higher level. So, and some states are already adopting this in large cities and finding it financially feasible by working with corporations. So, and they're doing this to help with foundation groups as well. So the question to you as candidates with regards to the high-quality early education, how important do you think that high-quality early education would be to students' success in Newport-Mesa Unified School District? And is this the kind of joint program that you think you could support as a board member of Newport-Mesa Unified School District? That question goes to Mr. Smith.
This is another one of those issues where we don't have to guess. We've got reliable, reputable studies that show the tremendous value of early education. I completely support it. And as your board member, I will do whatever I can to try to make sure we have a full-blown early education program in the district. It's extremely important. As the data was pointed out, I've seen it also. It's a great way to get kids started, and it does boost grades and test scores.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell?
Yes, I don't think anyone disagrees with that. High-quality early education is very important, and I think Newport-Mesa recognizes this with their preschools, with their kindergartens. It's very important. If the child used to be kindergarten, you just played, and it's very different now. So it's especially important on the west side or any of the schools that have English language learners. They, more than anyone, need high-quality early education if they are to catch up with the English-only students. So I am totally open to anything that brings this to our school even more than it's already there.
Thank you very much, Ms. Metoyer.
As the principal of two schools that had a preschool at that school, I can tell you for a fact that the children that attended the preschool on the school campus did a far better job of transitioning into kindergarten. That first day of school was easy. They knew the teachers, they knew the school. It was very, very comfortable. The quality of education that the students are getting in the district preschools right now is outstanding. And it definitely leads to more success when a child reaches kindergarten and really has those reading readiness skills already touched upon and sometimes mastered. Wholeheartedly support early childhood education and would like to see a preschool on every campus.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi?
Yes, I agree. I believe in early education. We have a preschool on our campus at Davis, and it's great to watch the kids year after year transition from preschool into kindergarten. Again, on their first day, it's seamless. They're already familiar with the protocol of a school. They already know the requirements and our common core values, our core values. And I just think it's a great opportunity to start learning early. Thank you.
One of the things we're missing with this is the issue of supporting it and then looking at the components in terms of making it happen. I guess there's a financial component to it as well, too. So I just want to keep that in the forefront. Mr. Davenport?
Well, I sense that we've transitioned into questions from the audience at this point. But
Not yet.
not yet?
No.
Okay, I could have accused somebody out there of putting that one in front of us, but I don't think there's any question about the value of high-quality early education. The evidence is certainly there. There have been studies on top of studies that have supported that. And I think we do a pretty good job with our preschools. Certainly we don't have a preschool in every elementary campus, and that may be something we have to pursue. But I think the issue becomes, do you even go below the traditional preschool in terms of age to start these kids even earlier than we presently start them? And I think there is some evidence of the value of that. It does become an economic issue. I think a lot of school districts that are successful in doing this are getting cooperation from the city that they're part of, and in other cases they're getting some private investment money from industry and business in the community. But definitely it is something that is of value and something worth pursuing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Collier?
I agree with what's been said. There's really nothing more to say on that subject except for one thing. Are we taking the kids out of the home too much? There's a lot of good parents in there that are teaching their kids important values and things and are preparing them for kindergarten. Maybe they're getting a good high education there too. We don't need to exactly take every student and do that, but the ones that maybe have a need to get into a classroom setting because they're not getting that at home, we need to pay attention to that. Obviously, there's a lot of students in our community that are being homeschooled, and as you watch them go through the process and they get through the process, they're doing pretty well. I mean, they have goals, they set goals, so it's our goal as a board to make sure that we pay attention to the needs of the students that we have that are going there, but not necessarily promote it to every student to go at a lower age just to show up to school when they can be spending time at home learning the same things. As far as funding, there's plenty of ways to look for funding. As Mr. Davenport mentioned, communities will help out. If there's a need, we'll go there. But the budget is pretty much, we can look at the budget, we can do everything we need to do. If that's a need that we have, somehow we'll find a way to work it in and take our 20% that we're spending on the students and use it for that. It's obviously the studies are doing real well with that, but studies are doing pretty well with mom and dad at home also teaching their kids. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and thanks to all of you for that question. It was a very long one, but we did get through it, actually a shorter time frame than I anticipated. But the next question, and this will start with Ms. Snell, and all of you will have an opportunity to address it. The West Side community has spent the past years preparing to start a dual immersion program, a charter school specifically by next year. And I wanted to know what your position is on charter schools. Ms. Snell?
I think that charter schools can be good where they fill a need that is missing in the district. I think the district, I'm completely open. If somebody comes up with a charter school and you understand a charter school is paid for by the district and by your tax dollars, so it has to be a school that we're not already putting money out and supporting in one of our public schools. But if such a school comes up, I am more than happy to support it.
Ms. Metoyer?
A charter school needs to fill a void within a school district, and it needs to provide an education that goes above and beyond what would happen. And our schools are so wonderful. The current proposal isn't the first one. We've had several over the past that have tried to come up, and we answer it with better schools and show that we're doing the job that they're doing. The data on successful charter schools is split. It's about 50-50 success rate. It doesn't have a greater success rate just because it has a charter. So there are a myriad number of issues and qualities that a school has to fulfill. OSHA is a charter school that's very successful, and everyone in the room would agree that it is an outstanding charter school. It filled a need of the entire county, not just one small community. So I would have to be shown that the charter school was definitely filling a void that we don't have in our Newport-Mesa schools, and that it would be something that that we aren't already doing. I think our schools are so good, I do not feel the need for a charter in our district. But that doesn't mean one isn't going to come down the road. A charter school is not, calling your school a charter school does not indicate it's going to be a successful school. It needs parent involvement and massive amounts of effort on all parts and qualified teachers, and they don't usually afford that.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi, same question to you, please.
Charter school would be effective if there was a need for it. My research on the request for the charter school on the west side sounds like it's along the same lines. They're asking for a dual immersion academy, and it's pretty much what the board has already approved for Whittier. So I don't feel a need for a charter school on the west side. I do feel that this is a good opportunity to partner with the West Side Neighborhood Academy because the goals are the same. But again, I don't feel that it's necessary for a charter school at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davenport, please.
Well, I don't think you can be for or against charter schools in the abstract. I think you have to look at the specifics of the school that you're considering. And frankly, the one you're referencing, we haven't seen enough detail on that at this point as a board to allow me to form an opinion on it. I have to see more of what they want to do and how it's going to fit with or not fit with what's already being done in the district before I'd be able to form an opinion on that particular school.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Collier?
And I think that's the key to this whole issue is, will it fit with the district? We've heard lots of people talk about how it's funded. It is funded by the district. We're taking the money out of our budget and funding a charter school. Maybe we can do it differently. We talked about a charter school, I bet, when I was on the board, and we put in a magnet school at Davis, and that's been pretty successful. We're doing dual immersion, as was mentioned before, at a couple schools. Mandarin Chinese is going in at College Park Elementary School. So they're doing the dual immersion there with Mandarin, then continuing it through high school. So things are in place. We're doing it. If there's a particular need for dual immersion over in some neighborhood, you bring it up to the board and we try to address it. We have the people in place to do a lot of the things that need to be done, or we'll work to get it done. I'd like to see, as we change the schools, as people become more involved in the schools, the parents get more involved, it'd be great to see you support something and we can build it as a district and put it in place in such a way that it's economically feasible and something that we can sustain for a long period of time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
So again, we've got one of those problem solution issues here, problem symptom issues here. Charter school is a symptom. It's a symptom of an underperforming school. You don't have parents with their kids going to good schools clamoring for a charter school in their area. Doesn't happen. I support the dual language charter school proposal, not because I necessarily believe in charter schools, but because I believe it's better than what's happening now. It's an alternative. And I don't believe, and I do believe also it's a better alternative to what one board member said last May, which was to wait a few years while the district develops its own dual language program. We don't have a few years. The charter school is getting teed up. It's going to be ready to go early next year, at least being proposed early next year, and I support it. Again, not because I necessarily believe in charter schools, but we've got to do something other than what we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question to each of you, and we're going to go to a 1-minute response on these questions here. I've got quite a few questions from the floor, and then they'll take us into those questions after we complete this one here. What is your view and opinion of AB 1266? And for those of you who are not familiar, the Assembly bill, that was for pupil transgender students' rights, and that was for pupil rights of sex-segregated school programs and activities. And that question, the first one to respond is Ms. Metoyer.
Oh, boy. I'm so lucky.
Lucky you, yes.
Yes. Thank you, team. I'm taking the hit. Would you please repeat?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. What are your views and opinions of Assembly Bill 1266? And that was the transgender bill. Okay.
Okay, but the explanation of the bill is the part that I really wanted.
Okay, so again, just your views and opinions of the fact that the pupils now with regards to sex-segregated school programs and activities and incorporating that into the Newport-Mesa Unified School District.
Children with transgender issues have a major struggle in their lives. And schools are adapting. They are doing the best they can so that no child feels bullied because of their lifestyle. But it's tough. I wouldn't want to make that decision all by myself. I would want a team of people working with me to help make that decision.
Okay, Ms. Manfredi, question to you.
I'll be honest, I don't know anything about this topic.
Okay.
So I'll have to pass on this question right now. Thank
We
you.
respect that. Very well. Mr. Davenport, please.
Well, the temptation is to do the same thing. It's a very difficult issue. The concept of unisex bathrooms so that children can be comfortable if they are transgender, I don't think it works. I don't know what the alternative solution is. But it's a very thorny, very sticky issue that I hope we don't have to make any major decisions on during my tenure on the board.
All right, thank you. Mr. Collier.
Sure. One of the things that the board does, you have to remember, is we hire a superintendent, we make him or her do some different things, and we give them direction. That's what a board would do. As far as, then I can talk about Mr. Smith talking about the travel issues. One of the things that we do as a board, we'll spend time going to our legislators' offices to discuss certain principles and things that need to be changed or how we can address them in the school level. And that's what we do a lot of times when we go to those kind of meetings. It's not just a trip to go somewhere to do something. It's to take care of something we were elected to do to handle these questions and processes as they come forward. This is a difficult issue. We'll have to, if I'm elected to the board, what I'll do is we'll make sure we research both sides of the issue. We'll look at what we can do, what we can't do within the law, what we need to do, how we need to provide that for the students to be handling the issue, and then we'll address it as best we can.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
To me, this is a matter of student safety. Social media has become a game changer in the district, not just ours, but everywhere. And to whatever extent this will provide an extra measure of protection to a group of students who are probably more prone to bullying, then I would support it.
Well, I think this is a difficult subject for all of us. But when that issue does arise, it will be handled with the school psychologist, with the school board, and I'm sure there are things in place for how you are supposed to respond to these type of things. It's just a very difficult question to answer, and I'm actually happy that everybody is having a little issue with this. We're not like firm on what we would do. We would have to seek counsel from various people to do the right thing that benefits the child, that benefits all the children in the classroom, and that's what we would do.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Very challenging. After going through the bill and looking at it and reading through it myself, I would hate to be put in that position. And again, I'd hate to be the child who has to deal with the issue as well. So we're going to go to a 1-minute response as far as that's concerned. And so what I'd like to do at this point is to make sure that you keep an eye on our timekeeper here. I'm taking questions from the audience. Again, I'll say this, some of them are pretty well written, but the rest are hieroglyphics, so I'm going to try and decipher through these and to make sure that I get them correct. So, are you going to allow us to ask our own questions as well as you suggested? Yes, by all means. Okay, this is from the audience here. What idea do you have to provide more support for teachers so they can be the most effective for our students? And that question then goes to Mr. Smith. We'll start on that end.
I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
What ideas do you have to provide more support for teachers so they can be the most effective for our students?
I've written about this many times. You know, teachers did not get into this profession to get rich. The average teacher in the state of California stays, I believe, now about 5.5 years before they change careers. That has to stop. One of the reasons that they're changing is because they're overloaded with testing and bureaucracy, and in the elementary school level, far more curriculum to teach now than they had to several years ago. So I, for one, don't see why the Newport-Mesa Unified School District can't take the lead in approaching Sacramento to try to, together with some other school districts, to try to reduce the amount of curriculum at the elementary school level so we can stop spending 5 minutes on the Civil War. And I'm being facetious, I know that. And we can actually start drilling down and exploring some of these subjects in depth. The teachers, again, less bureaucracy, less testing requirements, unburden them so that they can spend more time in instruction.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Snell, that same question, please.
Well, the testing has changed now that we're going to Common Core. So, and I think that's going to be of benefit to teachers because they'll be able to use their creativity and to teach. And after what you said, I've lost track of the question.
Okay,
It's how do we support our teachers? Okay. With training, additional training, with giving them opportunities to go to conferences, to professional development, giving them the opportunity to meet with other teachers in their grades, other teachers in the district, giving the 6th grade teachers opportunities to meet with the middle school teachers so they know that they're on track. Giving them access to district personnel to come in and help them solve their issues. Oh, it's a minute, huh? So there are a multitude of ways we are currently giving our teachers support, and we need to continue to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Ms. Metoyer, please.
The biggest gift you can give a teacher is time. They need time to plan, they need time to teach, and they need time to assess. So if we can figure out a way to assist the superintendent and cabinet to come up with creative ideas to do that, that would be delightful. The other thing that I think the board could help with is when we are implementing new ideas, let's not do all of them in the same year. You need to do it slowly, even when there's a need to say, okay, everything is changing. Well, let's make the decision to not change everything. Let's change one thing this year and add another thing the next year. When you do everything brand new, nothing gets done as well as it could be. Start slow, do it well, and give teachers time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi?
Excuse me. Teacher support, providing professional learning communities for the teachers to collaborate, I believe could help. To Charlene's point, providing more prep time for teachers to assess children who might be having difficulties and other children who might be excelling. And perhaps providing teachers with interns that could help them with some of the day-to-day menial tasks that are also important and required of the job. Somebody that might be able to learn under their lead as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Mr. Davenport?
Well, I think professional development is tremendously important. A teacher doesn't come out of college with a bachelor's degree, even a master's, knowing everything there is to know about teaching. There's a lot that changes, and they have a lot to learn through professional development, and that's important. I think we do a good job of that. Another thing we do that I think may be unique with this district is the vertical articulation within the high school zones. It's amazing to me to see a zone come before us and present their overall plans, and you're talking about from the high school level down through the elementary level. And it's interesting where the middle school administration and faculty is learning from the high school people how they need to send those students forward to high school. Same thing with middle school coming up from elementary. It's great to see that articulation. It works extremely well in this district, and I'm very proud of it.
Thank you. Mr. Collier, please.
Yeah, basically, I believe as a board we should ask the teachers, what do you need? We're giving them quite a bit. We have professional learning communities, in-service days, we give late starts so they can do the things that they need to do. If they need something else, they can ask the board, we can figure out a way to work that in. It's not as though we are, tyrants saying don't do certain things. We want the teachers to be successful. I mean, we even offer, substitute teachers if they need to do some sort of conference or learn something they need to do. It's not as though we're really strict on that. The question made it sound like we're not doing anything at all. Now's the time to talk about one of my theories about this. I'm an anti-homework person, just in case you didn't know that. I feel that any student in a high school environment will make sure if you say you don't have any homework, if you get an A on this test, the kids will study automatically and get the A on the test. And it's amazing how that kind of thing will work and free up the time for the teacher. So there's lots of ideas. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to, at this point, just, we've got a question from the floor here. We'll take that real quick, and then we'll go back to the other written questions. Thank you. Introduce yourself, please.
Sure.
1 second, please.
There we go. Is this on? We're good?
Yes.
My name is Chris Blank. I have the honor of actually having attended Adams School, Tewinkle, and Estancia High School. Hallelujah. I want to thank all of you for having the courage to be candidates and board members. It's not an easy thing to do. I have kind of a two-part question. The first is, please tell us the main thing that distinguishes you from your opponent. And then, if you can think of a decision that this school board has made, or even a past school board has made, that you disagree with, what would you have done differently and why? And I'll even give you an example. Recently, we were allocated $15 million from the state in redevelopment funds. And this school board decided to allocate that toward upgrades to stadiums at Corona Del Mar High School and Costa Mesa High School. Would you, if given the opportunity, reallocate that money for air conditioners, for example?
Okay, we'll start at this point with Ms. Manfredi. 1 minute.
What I would bring to this board would be having a parent on board. I have 2 children in the school district. I've been working in the trenches, so to speak, on campus with teachers, with our principal, and with the administration. I feel that I have a vested interest in the future of my children and of the children of our community. And what was the second part? Oh, and the second part is basically exactly what you said. I feel that the funding for stadiums should be put on the side. I do believe that sports are important, and having facilities for sports are very important. But safe and healthy learning environments for our students are top of the list. And I think, again, going back to air conditioning, I feel that that should be one of the top priorities to facility improvements. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Davenport.
I think part of what distinguishes me from my opposition is 8 years of experience on the board, and having dealt with the issues, understanding the issues in a fair amount of depth. I think also my background, educational background, trained me to be analytical. I think I am exactly that in looking at it, the issues that come before the board. I can look at both sides. I can analyze the information we're given by staff. I can analyze the information that is provided by the public and by my fellow board members as we sit on the dais. So I think I bring that to the board. As far as what we've done wrong, I don't really think of anything major. I think we can second guess and say instead of, and Chris, they're not stadiums, they're sports facilities. Perhaps in hindsight, we should have done air conditioning, but we didn't know what we were going to be facing in terms of weather, and so I think that's a little bit of second guessing.
Okay, thanks very much. Mr. Collier, please.
4 years on the board experience is what I bring also to this. I have my master in governance that I received last time around, so I've gone through the process. I can hit the ground running. We're a lot alike in a lot of ways. We have same teaching credentials, administrative credentials. My emphasis was high school versus elementary school for Mrs. Metoyer. I did college administration also, so that's our differences there. One of the other things I bring to the board is I'm a dad. Dad's point of views are important. I'm one of the people that has a kid still in school, so I can actually address those issues with the students and understand what's going on. As far as something that I may have changed would have been that $7 million to put into the stadium there at Costa Mesa High School. If you'd come up with a sum of money, I don't know, let's pick $3 million, and you walked across the street to that big stadium at Orange Coast College, I bet you could actually rent the stadium for the next 30 years on Friday nights and Saturday nights, or for a price. They probably would put Go Mustangs on the side of the stadium too. And then we have money to do with other things. So we just got to think it through. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, question to you, please.
So for part one, the main thing that distinguishes me from my opponent, I can't say it any better than one school board candidate said 8 years ago when she ran for office, and this is a quote. She said she promoted her new voice, new ideas, and new leadership, and argued that the school board needed to be more than a rubber stamp for the administration. That's the first part. The second part is in terms of a decision that I disagree with. I was present at the solar power presentation a few weeks ago at board headquarters. I support the program, but I noticed that it did not include the anticipated power needed to power air conditioning. So I think that's a mistake, and I think we need to go back to the drawing board and add the power requirements for air conditioning to that solar program.
Thank you very much. Ms. Snell?
What I bring to the school board is I'm a parent who has advocated for children for 15 years. My children were in schools in my neighborhood, and I was involved. If I had a complaint about something, I went in and tried to fix it and tried to come up with ways to make things better. I have a relationship with a lot of teachers, a lot of parents, so I believe I bring the parent point of view to the board. I am very good at working with people. I feel like I can get a lot done. You cannot be a lone wolf on any kind of team and expect to get anything done. You need to be able to work with people. You need to be able to come up with ideas and talk to each other, and that's what I bring to the board.
Thank you very much, Ms. Metoyer.
What I bring to the board is the fact that I've been a teacher, a principal, an administrator, and a parent, and in the community. I'm totally invested. I've got a breadth of experience that no one else has. And while I've only taught middle school in Newport-Mesa, I have taught high school. I have a high school and an elementary credential. So I have the breadth of knowledge from preschool through adulthood, and that's what I will bring to the board. I agree. It takes 4 votes to get anything to happen. You have to have a collaborative spirit. You have to have the patience to work with others, to be able to listen to what's being requested and to make something happen. You need to have 4 votes. So I'm a collaborator, and I listen, and I work with people.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another question from the floor, and if you could state your name for your question, please.
Elmer Goldman. I heard a lot about these wonderful flagship academies and specialization. I'm just wondering what you have in mind, how specialized and how early. What provisions are there to make all areas and all options familiar to all young students? For example, how are the schedules set now for a kid in the tech elementary to experience and develop in the arts, and vice versa, and all the others. I may have gotten the wrong impression from listening to you, but it sounds like, boy, the second grader knows what he wants and he's on the path. So please counteract my perhaps mistake.
Okay, so did you guys hear the question? I want to make sure. I think more importantly, do you need clarification before we start the responses?
Yes.
Okay, if you could once more.
My concern is with over-specialization at a very young age. And while I think that a direction is nice, that young children, certainly through elementary, deserve to see the breadth of education possibilities.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Davenport, that question will go to you first, please.
I don't think anybody expects second graders to be picking their career or picking the college they're going to attend. But I think that there is going to be a trickle down of the emphasis from the high school, and I think that's okay. I think there'll be some benefit from that, even though it may not be the path that a lot of those second and third graders eventually choose to follow. But I do think it's worth having the trickle down from the high schools.
Thank you. Mr. Collier?
Magnet schools in the elementary school are something similar. You got to remember, all the kids when they get to school, elementary school, they're all taking all the same classes. When we say magnet school or some sort of specialized program, we're just giving them an opportunity to learn more specific math besides everything else they're learning. So they're learning as they go along different things. The academies actually start in the high school area, where the kids have actually gone through and they've processed some of these things going along. So I think that the specialization doesn't necessarily need to be there at the beginning, but we know kids that actually have their specialties picked out and the things that they do. Not my kids, but other people's kids probably would understand what's going on. So we just want to give the kids as many opportunities to learn and grow. So if we call it a magnet school or a specialized program where they can go to, they can look at that. If it doesn't work for them, they can switch schools, as you've seen with Davis how it works. So that's our goal.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
I would be concerned about it as well, but I haven't had any information that it's an issue in this district.
Ms. Snell?
The trickle-down effect of the flagship, going back to signature, we're calling them signature programs now. The trickle-down effect into elementary school will just mean that there may be a theme to what is being taught. So maybe in English, instead of reading, your English book may be about science, or maybe about whatever the theme is. And so it's just, you're still, the elementary student is still getting the overall education, still getting the fundamentals and all that, but there's just maybe a theme in English and even with math terms that is used in that particular school. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Ms. Metoyer?
The signature academies are designed right now for juniors and seniors. That's when they're really making their commitment to become part of the academy. The opportunities will, I hate to say trickle down, but that's what it's doing. It's going down and providing more opportunities. What it looks like at the elementary schools right now are after-school opportunities, lunchtime opportunities, or even sometimes a before-school opportunity. So that if there's an art program that's going on, sometimes some of the parents are coming in and working on art during the day, or the teachers, it's their passion, so they're giving up a lunchtime or part of their lunchtime to work on their passion with kids at lunch. It just provides opportunities for enrichment in the elementary, other than the dual immersion programs, which are academically embedded into the program.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi, question to you, please.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please? I'm listening.
I got the impression from the enthusiasm earlier in your talks that these specialized academies were going to be in the elementary schools as well. And so the question is, how are you going to be sure that all children have all options available to them in addition to some?
Now, from my understanding, the academy that's being implemented at Whittier, you can opt in or out of it, out of the dual immersion language academy. So you have the opportunity to participate or not and have the broad-based education. But on my experience at Davis, with their focus on science, technology, engineering, and math, they've also have a really strong arts program. We have a huge music program, there's over 100 children in the band, over 100 children in choir. not all kids are drawn towards technology. A lot of them are drawn towards the garden and all different, so I just think that provides an extra opportunity for children if that's what they're drawn to, but that don't necessarily have to participate in it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Daryl, can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out, this is a little bit of deja vu. I don't know whether Ms. Goldman remembers or not, but she and I used to confront each other years ago when I was on the Costa Mesa Planning Commission. She would appear from time to time.
She's everywhere.
All right, we have another question from the floor here, and this question then will go actually to Mr. Collier first. So your question, please.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Anna Kennedy, and I'm on the founding team of the Westside Neighborhood Academy. Along with that, I work at MICA Community Development Corporation, and I run our after-school academic programming. So up front, I would like to say how much I really love the Newport-Mesa District, and we have worked really closely with the district over a lot of years. In particular, we work with mostly English language learner students on the west side of Costa Mesa, and I've been there for about 3 years now, so I appreciate a lot of what we've talked about and what the district has been talking about doing. So aside from the charter school conversation, my job at MICA is really kind of where my question is coming from. So we've mentioned improvements on the west side, which I don't want us to ignore, but when we are talking about a huge achievement gap between students performing at proficient in the 30 percentiles on the main West Side schools versus 80, 90 percentiles on the Newport Beach side schools, that's a really huge gap. And whether we've moved from 30 to 40 is still a lot of students underperforming at proficient, not even advanced, and doing really well. So my question, I see students all the time enter high school at elementary level reading, and I have them in my programs. I know their families. I know how hard we're working to get there. We have great teachers, but something's got to be different. So my question is, can you speak to that problem as you each understand it? And please tell us how you plan to address it if you're elected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. One of the things we need to do, it's an issue that's been around forever. Since when I ran for the board 8 years ago, it was something that was there, low achieving schools. We've done our best to find solutions for it. We brought in different superintendents over the years, different staffing to take care of those needs. We now have hired actually a superintendent who is actually has the reputation of being able to improve those schools and to make them better, low-performing schools. What we need to do now is to get some help to eliminate some of the distractions that we have in the district that are allowing him. He puts out fires every day instead of doing the work he's been asked to do. And we as the board need to make sure that we have systems in place to be able to handle those little fires, to get rid of them in such a way that the superintendent can do that, and then give him, in this case, the mandate to do what he's called to do and hold him accountable for that. That's the first step. We need to provide whatever kind of training or education for our teachers and staff to make sure it's done. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Mr. Smith?
As a friend of mine would say, this is not rocket surgery. Whatever we have to do has already been done. It's a matter of best practice. Let's go to those places that have turned around schools. Ask them, again, the 3 questions. What's working? What's not? If you could start all over, what would you do differently? Bring them back here to the best of our ability and execute them.
Ms. Snell?
We are doing that. These are a group of professionals, I don't mean the board necessarily, but the administration. These are people, they constantly go out to other sites and find out what works and what doesn't work. But before we go on with that, we need to give these teachers some praise for what they're doing. They have increased their scores. If you look at same school ranking, which is really an important way to judge these schools, because they're judged against other schools with similar populations, and these are populations of English language learners, and it takes more time. They have more challenges, and these teachers work harder than ever. And many of these schools are up to, out of 1 to 10, they're an 8. Estancia is a 10. T-Winkle's a 9.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Metoyer?
I need more than a minute.
We need to look at schools that have done it and done it well. 90 schools are local, they're close. We have done that, but we need to really look at it. One of the biggest pieces is involvement. If the parents aren't able to be involved, then we need to involve the community, and we need to support the communities that are providing interventions for our kids. It basically amounts to the intervention. We need to give the children the language that they need to score successfully on an exam. So many of and their tests are going to be changing more toward a language-based exam, so the learning English is going to be huge, and having the correct language skills. All children need to learn the correct math language in order to pass the test, social studies language, and literature language, and science language to pass the tests. If we are not providing that from the district, then we need to support the community that is providing it and use our community to help us.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi?
Yeah, to that point, I think it's a great opportunity to partner with the Westside Academy and Micah to come up with some solutions on how to bridge the gap for the English, the students who don't speak English. What can we do? You know, besides offer more English classes for them, provide extra after-school enrichment classes for them, partner with other communities that can help enhance and help them along with the new teaching or with the new testing programs. If you have suggestions, I would love to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davenport?
Well, I think in some of the West Side schools where there's a high percentage of English learners, achievement is a challenge. And I think one of the issues I mentioned before, and it's been mentioned just a minute ago, is parent involvement. And among that community, it is difficult to get the level of parent involvement that there is in other parts of the district, where the kids are getting the support at home to help them do better in the schoolroom. And that's terribly important, I believe. One of the things that I think is a great success in the district is the last couple of summers, the Summer Reading Academy. And there have been students who have increased their reading level 2, 3, and 4 grades during the course of a Summer Reading Academy. And that's tremendous progress. And if we can continue that and continue to work that program into the classrooms and work with these kids, I think we'll see the kind of improvements we're looking for.
We have a question here from the floor, and thank you, Mr. Davenport. And just before I had that question presented to you, that kind of leads to one of the other questions that was presented by one of the guests here. It's this: the elephant in the room is the level of education that the parents have. Students and school performance depends very much on how much education parents have. Or have you any ideas of overcoming the less affluent areas in the district? And just something for you guys to keep in mind, because I think we'd like to just get a response to that. Your name and your question, please.
Yeah, my name is Doug Morrow, and I think Lisa talked a little bit about my question, but the difference between the students in Newport Beach and Costa Mesa, I think the difference between, as far as Costa Mesa is concerned, that probably the majority of the students, English is a second language. And I think we need to do something about that. Do you have any ideas?
First of all, I want you to know I'm happy to stay as long as you want to, but I'm going to need a personal break here in a few minutes. So, and that may be something we can all agree on. I don't know. Well, you know, there is a
bio break. It's I hear.
I'm dying. Yes, I did. Okay. All right.
After this response, you can...
Thank you, Ryan. Not trying to be rude. I got to get out of here. Well, you know, there's a dual language charter school proposal. I said it, 2 hours ago. I support that because we need to do something differently. I would support not anything, but I think, once again, I'm going to sound like, I have dementia because I'm repeating myself over and over again. The things that we need to do have already been done. We need to go to those schools that have turned around and, okay, you ready? Everybody. What's working, what's not? If you could start all over, what would you do differently?
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Snell? Excuse me, sir? No.
Oh, I'm glad he's gone.
Going, not gone.
Going. I think, I don't know where the gentleman went, but I think we need to, we do support adult education, and I think there needs to be a bigger push for education for the parents to better learn English. If it was made more available at their local school so they could walk there and take English lessons. And I know Ray has some parent education classes on how to help their children with their homework, and I think Victoria's had some. Just more education opportunities for parents that probably work all day and need to come in the evening to take advantage of those opportunities. It is important. I understand what he was talking about. Somebody was talking about level of education, and that is important. Children that don't have the support at home, oh, I hate that sound, have more difficulty helping their children.
Great. Ms. Metoyer?
When I was in adult education, it was a huge program. We had 4,000 students. The predominant number of students were in English learning. And the parents were proud to be there, and they worked very hard, and their English did improve, and their lifestyles improved, and they were able to help their children better. That, in a perfect world, it would be wonderful if we had the funding back that we had then so that we could provide that once again. We need to help our parents get to the community colleges where they do have English learning going on, and perhaps work in a collaboration with the community colleges to provide satellite classrooms out at the schools where it's local and they can get there. But yes, we should help our parents learn. They want to learn. All parents in every school that I've ever been at wants their child to be successful and will do what it takes to help them if they can. So we need to help the parents.
Thank you very much. Ms. Manfredi?
Thank you. I'm sorry to keep piggybacking on what you say, but I love that idea of partnering with the community colleges for the parents to help them. But then again, I also think there's something else needs to be done at the school level. As a parent myself, I have a hard time helping my son with his math. He's in 8th grade, and I have a college degree, and it's not easy. So I think educating the parents is one factor of it, but there's got to be something, another portion of it that we can use to help our English as a second language students. Again, maybe perhaps some after-school activities, after-school enhancements for them. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Mr. Davenport?
Well, some of our West Side schools have developed what they call parent academies, and they bring the parents in, and the focus is on how they could help their children perform better in school. I think, I'm not certain, but I think all these programs are bilingual, and they're a small step in the right direction. It's not like adult education, but it is directed toward helping the parents help their students. Some of the schools have set aside a room for the parents to gather when they want to, and it's there for their use. And that, I think, develops communication between the parents and among the parents, and probably furthers the thing we're talking about as well.
Thanks very much. Mr. Collier?
Yes, the board has always promoted lifelong learning for all the students and all the parents that have an opportunity, who would like to have an opportunity to do it. There's always a way to do that. We just need to find a way to support the programs. I agree with Mrs. Metoyer in that way, and I also think that we need to make sure that we pay attention to what community resources we have and how we can allow the people that want to learn to learn. when everybody's learning together, we're going to find that everything's going to go up because people get excited together about learning and about the opportunities that they have. So I hope we can find a way to provide those.
Thank you very much. We have another question from the floor. If you could state your name, please.
Yes, my name is Kara Boyd, and I am a teacher in Newport-Mesa. I taught at Wilson for 9 years, I think, and I'm now at Mariners. I've been there for about 8 years. So I understand the needs of students on both sides of the district, and I want to say thank you so much to you committed folks for standing up to do what you think is the best job that you can do for our students throughout our district, so I appreciate that. I also have 2 students of my own. I have a kindergartner and a 4th grader at Newport Heights. So my question for you tonight comes as a teacher and as a parent in the district. We are experiencing a massive influx of new curriculum over the last couple of years in the district. And I think teachers are doing their very best to make sure that we implement it to the best of our abilities. But my question is this: how will you ensure that curricular decisions in the district are based on student need and that community input is part of that process? The second part of that question is, how will you solicit feedback from teachers and from parents to assure that any curriculum that the district adopts is effective?
Okay, that question goes to Ms. Snell.
So in a minute?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you have 45
really.
seconds.
No, I understand with Common Core coming along here, the framework of Common Core and the new curriculum design, that it is really tough for teachers to do all this.
I just was wanting to interject to the panel so they understood my background. I've been working on the district's rigorous curriculum design team. Each grade level has a team of teachers that are designing language arts curriculum based on our Common Core standards. So I've been working on that team for the last several years. So my question wasn't specifically targeted at any one program, but just how are we going to make sure as a district that whatever we're doing, whether it's this Common Core thing that I've really put a lot of work into, if it's not working, we need to be able to know that we can look at that and say, hey, you know what, we thought that was a great idea, but it didn't work. What are you going to do to make sure that you get the feedback that you need so that we can work for kids?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kara. Yeah. We need to look at the teachers for that feedback. There's no better person to determine what's working and what's not working. And sometimes that's different in each individual school as well as the entire district. So teachers talking to other teachers, talking to their administrators, and the feedback of that. Also, the assessment that will be taking place, that will give us some insight into if this is working or not. And we're able to make changes to the curriculum. As far as parents, they have to speak up and they have to come to board meetings, let them know, let their teachers know, talk to their principals. You have to advocate for your child and their education. And that's what most of us on the board or on this panel, we're involved in our schools, and that's how you get the parent piece.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kara, for all the hard work.
Ms. Metoyer.
As a school board, in a district, the implementation is not left to the school board. But as the school board, we need to set the climate so that the teachers feel comfortable reporting out that this doesn't work. They need to have an avenue that will actually listen to what's happening. We need to provide forums or an opportunity so that the teachers can say, this is working, this isn't working, keep this, don't keep that, and we need to keep the climate of not fear. We need a non-fearful climate so that the teachers can be okay saying that. And the parents need to report out to their teachers and feel comfortable telling the teachers, my child isn't getting this, I don't understand it. They need to work out something either at the school or bring it to the board. We need to have an avenue. Personally, I will be out at the schools and I will listen. I will be in the community and I will listen.
Thank you, Ms. Manfredi.
I believe it would be measured, again, with teachers who belong to a professional learning community, who are comfortable working with each other and sharing and collaborating their ideas and their results. I also feel that assessments, measurements, the testing measurements would be what would provide us the information if it was successful or not. But ultimately, it's the teachers, how they're teaching our students and how the students are gaining the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davenport?
I can't think of any more effective way to develop an appropriate curriculum than to have the teachers do it. And I'm so proud of the teacher groups at every grade level that have worked so hard on developing the new curriculum. And it's meant to be a rigorous curriculum and to fit into Common Core. I think if it isn't already provided for, that these teacher groups should come back together periodically and evaluate what they've done. Is it working or isn't it working? There's nobody that has a better handle on that than the teachers who develop the curriculum. So if it's not already being done, I'm going to suggest to our administration that these groups come back together to evaluate as we go through the school year.
Thank you. Mr. Collier, please.
Sure. Influx of new curriculum is going to happen quite often. We're blessed to have a teaching staff, and I believe they've been selected because of their expertise in being able to put together this curriculum, so which is a nice plus. Common Core is now the law of the state of California. If it doesn't work, we as a board need to go back to our legislature and make sure that we can help them to provide the changes. But along with designing curriculum, there's always an element of putting in the assessment. After the assessment, there's a question we don't often ask. What do the kids do if they're not learning what we say they're supposed to learn? And that's where you look at your assessment and you redesign your curriculum going forward. We're putting pieces of the puzzle together where we have administrators looking at that, and now staff. I'm grateful we have a staff of faculty members that are willing to put together the programs as best we can, because that'll be the way we support our students in that way. So,
thank you. Mr. Smith, on that question?
Every new program has to have goals. Everyone has to be on the same page in terms of what it is we're trying to achieve, whether it's higher grades, higher test scores, higher graduation rates, whatever it happens to be, we have to agree on specific goals. And we have to be able to measure those goals along the way, periodically. Tweak it if it's not working. If we're not progressively working toward achieving the goal, we tweak it a little bit, adjust it, try to do something else. And we have to have the courage at some point, if it's not working and we've tried enough adjusting, we have to have the courage to raise our hand and say, you know what, this isn't working, we got to stop and try something else.
All right, thank you very much. And before we take the next question from the floor, I have a yes or no question for each of you. Can you believe that? All right, the question is, for each candidate, how would you vote on building a football stadium at Corona Del Mar High School? This is currently being considered by the Newport-Mesa Unified School District and is opposed by a lot of the surrounding homeowners in the area. Are you in support of it, yes or no? And we'll start with Ms. Metoyer.
I won again. The question was, how would I vote yes or no for building a football stadium at Corona Del Mar High School?
Correct, yes or no?
No.
No.
Ms. Manfredi?
No,
Mr.
based on the
Davenport?
community's input.
Mr. Davenport?
I don't think that.
Most likely no, but we're still gathering community input.
Mr. Collier?
yeah, it's impossible to answer. It's impossible to answer yes and no without having more information on it. The initial thought is go with the community, but they're also paying for it. It's not coming out of anybody's budget.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Collier. I'm not going to answer yes or no. There are too many gray areas involved here.
Ms. Snell?
The plan is not to build a stadium. The plan is to improve their athletic field. So I would vote no on a stadium.
Okay.
But yes to improve their athletic field. It needs improvement.
Okay, thank you very much. Next questions from the floor. And you state your
You
name,
stole
please?
my question. No, I'm just kidding. My name's Rich Lamas, and I have the pleasure of having 5 kids attend or are currently attending the Newport-Mesa School District and the schools there, and I appreciate your time tonight. My question is, it's my understanding that the board recently spent millions of dollars on a program that I think is called Swan Math. And they did this without like teacher buy-in or piloting the program, and I've never heard of that before. And so my question is, what's the process for new programs like this? And aren't they supposed to go through a voting process, a teacher buy-in, a piloting time before the board spends millions without even knowing if it works or if there's major flaws in the program?
Okay, that question actually goes to Ms. Manfredi.
Well, of course, we'd have to ask the teachers first. That's I mean, in regards to purchasing new programs to add to the curriculum, to the classrooms, yeah. It would definitely have to go through the teachers first and the administration. I guess we would all have to learn about it and take a vote on it. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't spend millions of dollars without learning more about it, definitely, and without getting the input from the professionals who are in charge of it. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Davenport.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, SWAN is S-W-U-N. SWAN Math was piloted in 1 or 2 schools and evaluated based on that pilot and then moved forward from there.
Mr. Collier.
Yeah, the normal procedure is to, if we have a new program that comes up, it comes before the board. The board looks at it. If the board sets a study session, usually we look at it. We send it out to staff to go find out all the information you can find about that particular program. We pilot it, and then we look at it. If it's not working, we go back and we reevaluate, and we don't spend the money for it the next year. At the time, the research looked like it was something that was important and would help our students in math. Most of the students are saying it's not helping, so as a board, we'll go look for it. But we need parents to step in and tell us those things. As a board, we evaluate on this certain level here, everything going on. If the parents are noticing something different, come tell us.
Mr. Smith.
I have had mixed reaction from teachers with regard to the program, but the larger question is, the answer to the larger question is we've got to have their buy-in. We have to have the benefit of their expertise in terms of launching not only this but any program. In another life, I was a senior manager for a national company, and I'll tell you, anytime we tried to do something corporate-wise, it was very important that all the employees, everybody understood what we were trying to achieve, and they bought it. It wasn't 100% effective, but as much as we could, we did. So that's what I would try to achieve as well.
Thank you. Ms. Snell.
Well, I've only been on the board since March, so I was not part of this decision, but it's my understanding that many of the teachers and the piloting of the program is that it's a very good program. There are flaws in the program, so it's going to take some time to get some of those flaws out. But I understand as a parent your frustration with the program. I'm sure you're probably having trouble helping your child with their homework. It's not the typical way that math has been taught. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think what the district needs to do is they need to have a better process for letting the parents, making sure the parents understand the program, to have information nights where the parents can come and be a part of a lesson and understand how and why this program was picked. Currently, there are some things online. I don't know what school you're at, but there are some things online. You can go and there's a video of a lesson, and there's some other things I could talk to you after.
Okay, Ms. Metoyer.
I've heard lots of questions regarding this, and so I went out to a school and sat through a lesson to see how different it was. When this is implemented over a long time, it's going to change the way kids think about their math. But the actual math skills, and the term is algorithm, how we do the problem, how we do the long division, that hasn't changed that much. But what has changed is that the children are asked to explain what was your thinking behind it. And as a math person, I didn't want to explain the math thinking. I got the right answer. There's my work. I should be done. And it's a whole different way of thinking. Yes, there are materials online, I asked. And I asked, do the parents know they're online? And that was, well, we gave them a paper at back to school night. If we're making a significant shift in strategies and delivery, parents need to be brought on board as well as the students. We as parents need to learn how to do that, thinking differently. It wouldn't hurt to have a parent night at the school. It wouldn't hurt to send it home 3 or 4 different times. Here's where you can go online to look at the lesson. And as a parent, I would preview the lesson before my child got it and then have it the next day.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I'll tell you, we've extended ourselves way beyond the allotted time here. Obviously, those of you who are still here were very well entrenched in the questions and the answers. What I want to do before we just close out this evening here is that there's one really hot topic that continues to be consistent amongst the questions coming from the floor, and that is the Common Core curriculum. And I think if I could have each of you, just 1 minute, give us your feedback in terms of your favoritism of Common Core, whether you support it, and if so, why and why not? And we'll start that question with Mr. Davenport.
Well, Common Core is a state mandate. The state has adopted it and said that the schools will put it in place. Common Core is not a curriculum. It's a framework for a curriculum. And that curriculum is what has been in the process of being developed by the teacher groups. And it is our curriculum. It's not something that was handed down from the state. And as far as the overall feeling about Common Core, I think the premise is sound. It's designed to teach children to think creatively, to collaborate, and to go beyond just the rote memory that took place for so long in terms of mathematics and things of that sort. Vocabulary lists and so forth. So I think in the long run it's going to do a good job of helping our students become better prepared for the life they're going to lead.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Collier, please.
Sure. As far as the state-mandated program that we have to follow, Common Core is okay because we get a chance to develop it and use it the way it's most effective in our district. That's how we design the curriculum. So if it's working well for us, we'll keep it in place that way. If not, we get to change it and move on to see what's best for our kids. Change is always difficult in any situation, so whenever you're doing something different that you haven't done before, you learn to adapt, and we all go through changes every day in our life. So it's important that we allow the teachers to develop the curriculum as they'd like to, and then we support them as parents and as a board to make sure that our students are learning the things that they need to learn to become better members of the community and become lifelong learners.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
I want to point out that it's Thursday in New York, by the way. Common Core got started, the roots of Common Core go back to 1990 when a group of governors and business people were trying to standardize education across the country so that if people moved, they would pick up the education from wherever it was they left. And it became Common Core over the years. Frankly, I like the program. I like the goal of trying to increase the amount of critical thinking that we're asking our kids to do because I don't think we're challenging them enough in that regard. But I will come back again to making sure that we have goals for the program, measuring them along the way so that we understand we're on the track, on the road to success or failure.
All right, Ms. Snell?
Finally, something we agree on. I'm very optimistic about Common Core. I think it's really exciting. The lessons that I've observed, the teachers I've talked to, they seemed more engaged. I think the students are going to be more engaged. I think it's kind of a way of teaching when I was in school. Teachers have the opportunity to put some of their creativity into the lesson. I know it's not going to be easy over the next couple of years as things are refined, but I think it is, like several of the panel members have mentioned, it's a new way of teaching. Change is hard, and it's going to be hardest for those kids that are kind of caught in the middle. The kindergartners are going to start out that way, but the ones caught in the middle are going to have a little more difficulty adjusting to this type of a curriculum. But I think I think it's great, and I think it prepares our kids for the 21st century jobs that are going to be out there.
All right, thanks, Ms. Metoyer.
The actual standards or framework of the old standards and the new standards provided are not that different. California has always had rigorous standards. The piece that's different is the critical thinking and enhanced writing, and those pieces are going to be good for our children. Implementation is a struggle, as it is with anything new. We have the best people working on that. Our teachers are doing a phenomenal job of creating excellent curriculum so that we can continue to provide teaching the basics, phonemic awareness, learning how to read, analyzing what you've just read, learning how to do the calculations, analyzing what you just calculated. These are good ways of learning for our children, and our teachers are helping us provide that.
Thank you. And then Ms. Manfredi.
I like Common Core. I like the fact that we use local teachers to design the curriculum and that they can adjust it as necessary. I like that this prepares our students for the future analytically. I do feel that the technology supporting this program has a little ways to go. And I feel that it would behoove the teachers to extend some prep time or to allow the teachers to have additional prep time to identify the achievers and the students who are struggling with this new method of learning. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Guys, I want to give the candidates a great round of applause. And more importantly, yourselves for staying with us. I know it's been a long night. We've lost a few people. But again, this is very important. Again, you obviously felt it important to stay. One thing I do want to just tell you right now that on the 18th of November at 6 p.m., the Newport-Mesa School District Board will be discussing term limits. So, and spending caps and rescheduling of meetings to potentially work around people's schedules so that there could be more participation from families and also, school-age families, more importantly. But also in the back of the room are voting applications. So if you have young teenagers in the house who are getting ready to actually turn of age to be able to vote, you can pick up those applications in the back of the room. But again, my hat's off to all of you, and I wish you great success in your campaign for the school board. Looking forward to seeing more of the names out there and hearing more from you before the election, okay? Thanks again, okay?
Thank you.